An ancient alien empire surveillance reveals a human colony still surviving in a supposedly destroyed system. The Council reels in disbelief and fear as they witness humanity's brutal defiance. On Earth, a commander prepares a deadly gambit, knowing this moment will shift galactic power forever. The holographic chamber flickered as the star system's ghostly image stabilized. On a 1,000-tiered dais, the High Synod of the Velrax Empire leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the writhing disturbance deep within the Sol expanse. The stellar cartographer's voice, cracked and trembling, announced, "Unidentified transmissions, faint but deliberate, from the ruins of Terra's last known colony." Velrax Commander Zirak's mandibles twitched in disbelief. "It's impossible. The human resistance was extinguished decades ago, their homeworld bombarded into dust, the system quarantined." A young analyst tapped furiously, bringing up grainy footage, skeletal ruins cloaked in near invisibility, a flicker of human soldiers striking a heavily armed Velrax patrol with pulse disruptors, then vanishing. The footage replayed, humans moving with savage grace, evading with technologies thought lost or mythical. Cloaking fields powered by self-regenerating nanotech, primitive yet effective. Their combat protocols, unpredictable. They don't just survive, they hunt. Zirak's voice dropped, raw with panic. They are alive, and they are fighting back. The council chamber erupted into whispers. Why would they still exist? Were the extermination orders incomplete? A voice broke through the tension. Perhaps they learned mercy is weakness. Another, or death is just a gateway. The screen flickered again, this time focusing on a human figure standing alone on a crater's edge. A countdown displayed behind him on a battered holopad, ticking silently towards 0. The human's voice was calm, defiant. "For every world you burned, we are the flame that will rise." The chamber fell into cold silence. Commander Zirak's voice cracked, an almost human tremor of fear. "If they live, if they fight, we must reconsider peace." Outside the chamber, on a ruined Earth outpost, Commander Elena Voss steadied her breath. "They think we're dead. Let's show them why that was their greatest mistake." The sun hung low over the fractured horizon of the former colony's capital, casting long shadows across skeletal buildings that once hummed with human life. Dust swirled in lazy eddies as Elena Voss led her team through streets cluttered with the debris of forgotten battles. The air was thick with the scent of scorched metal and stale memories. Her boots crunched on broken glass and twisted alloys, remnants of the Velrax assault that had razed this city decades ago. Yet beneath the rubble, life endured. The survivors had hidden, burrowed deep into the ruins where senses could not reach, where the Empire's gaze had turned away. Elena glanced at her squad, hardened soldiers, faces etched with exhaustion and determination. "Stay sharp, we're not ghosts here," she whispered, voice tight. "The Empire believes we're dead, but they forgot one thing. Humans don't just survive, we adapt." Ahead, a faint hum resonated, a soft pulse not of Velrax tech, but something older, something alive. Dr. Saira Menon, the team scientist, bent low over a shattered console cracked with nanofractures. "This is pre-collapse tech, but it's integrated with Velrax systems. Look here, the humans retrofitted these EMP generators to create localized blackout zones. They use the colony's own wreckage as a weapon." Elena nodded. "Show me." The range. Saira's fingers danced across the interface, bringing up a holographic overlay of the surrounding terrain. Blue fields flickered, revealing pockets of electromagnetic disruption extending across the city. "We can hide in these pockets. Velrax drones won't get a lock." A sudden crackle interrupted the quiet. "Contact," whispered a scout from the rear. Elena crouched behind a crumbled wall, signaling her squad to hold. Shadows flickered at the edge of their vision. 3 Velrax patrols, their sleek carapaces gleaming under the dying light, moved cautiously through the ruins. Their weapons emitted a faint blue glow, scanning for signs of life. The humans remained still, hearts pounding, breaths shallow. A nanotech cloaking field shimmered faintly over them, rendering their outlines blurry. Elena fingered the pulse. Disruptor at her hip, a weapon designed not to kill, but to disable alien electronics instantly. A Velrax soldier stepped forward, his antennae twitching. "Sensors failing," he hissed. "Something interferes." Elena's voice was ice. "Now!" She fired. The disruptor pulse rippled through the air like a silent shockwave. The Velrax weapons fizzled, their suits convulsing as energy drains sapped their systems. Confused snarls erupted as the patrol staggered, weapons useless. "Move!" Elena commanded. They darted through the electromagnetic shadows, slipping past the stunned aliens. Behind them, the Velrax regrouped, their rage palpable but powerless. Once clear, Elena exhaled sharply. "They still think brute force wins. They don't understand what we've become." Syra studied the tech at their backs. This colony was the Crucible. We reverse-engineered Velrax nanotech and combined it with human resilience. Our protocols are unpredictable because they're chaotic, like us. A sudden, sharp beep echoed from her wrist comm. "Commander, you need to see this." They gathered around a portable holoscreen. A live feed showed the distant rim of the system where a massive Velrax dreadnought drifted, its hull scarred and flickering. "Damaged?" Elena whispered. "More than that," said Syra. "It's caught in a nanotech web, our drones. They're not just fighting back, they're dismantling the Empire's tools." Elena's eyes darkened. "This is just the beginning. They thought we were ashes, but the fire never died." She looked to the horizon, where stars blinked cold and distant. "We fight for more than survival now. We fight to reclaim a future." The ruins whispered around them, a graveyard of past defeats and a beacon of human defiance. Elena tightened her grip on her disruptor. "Let the Empire come. We're ready." The gleaming chamber of the Velrax High Synod was filled with tension, as emissaries from every corner of the Empire debated the implications of the human resurgence. Massive crystalline pillars pulsed with soft light, casting eerie shadows on the faces of the ruling caste. At the center, Chancellor Morzath's mandibles twitched with barely concealed frustration. "They should be extinct," he growled, slamming a claw against the polished table. "The human threat was neutralized decades ago. Their resurgence threatens everything we've built." A senator from the outer reaches, his carapace mottled and scarred, leaned forward. "Perhaps our extermination protocols were flawed. We underestimated their adaptability, their use of primitive yet effective nanotech. The humans are not the weaklings we once thought." Morzath's eyes flashed. "No. They were primitive. Savages then, and they are still savage. Their survival defies logic, but that does not mean we must bow to their will. They must be crushed." A younger member, a scientist named Irissa, hesitated before speaking. "With all due respect, Chancellor, I have reviewed the genetic samples recovered from the Sol expanse. Their DNA exhibits rapid regenerative capabilities, something unprecedented. They adapt on a cellular level to EMPs and nanotech. Our weapons degrade against them." Morzath's mandibles clicked sharply. "You imply we must change our tactics?" Irissa nodded. "We cannot rely on sheer force. We need new strategies, or humanity will dismantle us piece by piece." The chamber buzzed with murmurs and dissent. The ancient empire, once unchallenged in its dominion, was now fractured by fear and doubt. Some argued for immediate annihilation, others whispered of diplomacy. Morzath fixed his gaze on the holoscreen, where scenes of human guerrilla strikes replayed, shadows moving through the ruins, electronic pulses disabling Velrax fleets, the haunting calm of a human commander issuing silent threats. "Why are they like this?" a voice murmured from the back. How can such a primitive species wield such power? A council elder replied, voice heavy with ancient sorrow. They do not fight for empire or honor. They fight for survival, for revenge. Death has become their ally. The conversation stalled, tension thick in the air. Suddenly, the chamber's doors hissed open, and a Velrak scout burst in, breathless. Chancellor, we have intercepted a transmission from the human commander on the ground. She speaks of peace. Morzath's mandibles twitched in disbelief. Peace? After all the blood spilled, why now? The scout handed over a comm device. Elena Voss's calm, resolute voice echoed through the chamber. The Empire finds us alive. We fight because we must. But peace is the only way forward, if you have the will to seek it. Silence fell. The threat they dismissed was not only alive, but extending a hand. Morzath's eyes burned with fury and confusion. Peace or weakness? The council waited, uncertain which path would define the galaxy's fate. The endless void stretched out beyond the shattered wreckage of Velrak's warships, drifting in the shadow of a dying star. Elena's squad moved silently inside the hull of a derelict cruiser, their steps muffled by the thick dust coating every surface. The air smelled faintly of burnt circuits and old blood. The Velrak's vessel was a tomb, but it held secrets, weapon schematics, navigation logs, and most importantly, power cores they could salvage. Elena's fingers traced the cold metal of the ship's bulkhead as she studied the faded markings, ancient runes mixed with high-tech symbology. Here, the Empire's arrogance was written in every scar. Patch into their systems, she ordered Sarah. We need to know what they're planning next. Sarah's eyes gleamed behind her visor. On it. Her gloves danced over the interface, streams of alien code unraveling like threads of starlight. They've got a new fleet being constructed at the Perseus Forge. Massive ships equipped with graviton disruptors and enhanced plasma cannons. If they deploy that, we're in trouble. Eleanor swallowed the weight of the news. We need to hit them before they finish. A sharp hiss startled them. Contact! Whispered one of the soldiers. They dropped to cover as Velrak's boarding. Drones spilled into the corridor, their multi-limbed forms clicking and whirring. The drones moved methodically, scanning for life forms. Elena raised her pulse disruptor. EMP mine now! A low hum filled the corridor as the mine deployed at their feet. A crackling wave surged outward, short-circuiting the drones. They collapsed in a heap of sparks and twisted metal. Not bad, Elena muttered. But this fight isn't over. They advanced deeper into the cruiser's bowels, each step heavier with the knowledge that the Empire was mobilizing to crush their fragile foothold. Yet beneath the fear, a fierce hope burned. This isn't just survival, Elena said quietly. It's a message. We're still here, we're still fighting. Syra nodded. And every secret we uncover is a step closer to turning the tide. Outside, the Velrak's dreadnought loomed like a silent predator, but within the human squad's hearts, the spark of rebellion was an unyielding flame. Elena's voice was steady as she prepared to transmit the data back to their hidden command. Tell them, the Empire's shadow is longer than they know, but we are the light that refuses to be snuffed out. Eleanor stood at the edge of the ruined plaza, the cracked marble beneath her boots humming faintly with residual nanotech energy. The Velrak's defector approached cautiously, his multiple eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and hope. He was a shadow of the Empire, scarred armor patched with mismatched plates, a relic of battles long fought and loyalties questioned. "Why come here?" Elena asked, voice low but steady. "You betray your own kind." The Velrax, called Karath, tilted, his head antennae flicking nervously. Not betrayal, survival. The Empire's hunger blinds them. They see us as tools, expendable. But you fight with purpose. Elena's gaze hardened. Purpose built on revenge. What makes you think we want mercy? Karath's mandibles clicked softly. Mercy is a weapon more dangerous than plasma cannons. It breaks cycles of hatred. If the Empire does not change, all will be consumed. A gust swept through the broken streets, carrying echoes of distant battles and the scent of smoldering ruins. Elena looked away, the weight of countless losses pressing down. We have given them nothing but fire. And yet you offer peace. Her eyes narrowed. Peace is a promise, not a weakness, but it requires trust, something the Empire has long lost. Karath nodded slowly. Then teach them. Show them a path beyond destruction. For a moment, silence stretched between them, fragile and electric. Elena took a deep breath. If you betray us, you'll know the cost. Karath met her gaze, without flinching. And if you fail, so will all who follow. The uneasy alliance was born, not from friendship, but from the shared scars of war and the desperate hope for something more. Behind them, the ruins whispered of a future still unwritten, where mercy might yet forge a new empire from the ashes of the old, deep within the underground lab carved into the shattered crust of the old colony. The hum of machinery intertwined with the rhythmic tapping of Dr. Syra Menon's fingers against her console. Around her, walls lined with alien artifacts glowed faintly under the soft blue light of bioluminescent panels. Nanotech swarms, millions of microscopic machines, floated in suspended animation inside transparent chambers, their circuits flickering with dormant potential. "We're close," Syra murmured, eyes gleaming with the thrill of discovery. By integrating Velrak's AI cores with our own adaptive nanites, we can override their systems from within, turn their own technology against them. Elena paced nearby, tension tightening her jaw. You realize what this means. If the Empire's AI goes dark, their fleets become useless. But it's a gamble. If they detect the intrusion... Syra smiled, calm but intense. They won't. Our nanites evolve faster than their security protocols can adapt. It's biological warfare at the microscopic level. Suddenly alarms blared, lights flashing red. The lab's mainframe flickered. "They're on to us!" Syra shouted, fingers flying as she initiated an emergency shutdown. Outside, Velrak's ships drifted in orbit, their sensors scrambling to isolate the source of the nanotech infiltration. On board, command decks buzzed with confusion as systems malfunctioned. Weapon locks failed. Grav systems flickered. Crew members clutched their heads as neural interfaces spiked with feedback. Inside the lab, Syra's voice was steady, despite the chaos. "The AI is breaking down. Our swarm is inside the core networks. This is just the beginning." Elena gritted her teeth, feeling the weight of every sacrificed life in the struggle to dismantle the Empire's grip. How long before they retaliate? "Hours, maybe less," Syra said. "But by then their fleets will be crippled. We'll force them to the negotiating table or destroy them trying." The nanites shimmered in their chambers, silent but deadly, the invisible tide turning beneath the surface of the war. Outside, the Velrak's empire was beginning to fracture, its greatest strength dissolving into helplessness, and humanity's shadow grew longer still. The firefight erupted without warning beneath the fractured canopy of the ruined city's industrial zone. Elena's squad moved through the choking smoke, pulse disruptors blazing in bursts of electric blue. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning circuits and the cries of the fallen. "Grenade!" shouted Corporal Reyes, just as a Velrak's heavy opened fire with plasma cannons, scorching the metal scaffolding overhead. The explosion rocked the squad's position, sending shards of debris flying. Elena dove behind a twisted beam, heart pounding. Her comm crackled with frantic voices. "We're pinned down! Need extraction!" She looked around. 2 of her squad were down, bodies smoldering in the ruin. The cost of every victory etched itself deeper into her soul. "Hold the line!" she ordered, voice cutting through the chaos. Reinforcements were nowhere in sight. The Velrax were relentless, their disciplined advance showing no mercy. Eleanor's pulse disruptor hummed low on power. "Commander," whispered Private Callis, eyes wide with fear. "We can't hold much longer." Elena's jaw clenched. She knew the truth. They were expendable. Every mission demanded sacrifice, every victory paid in blood. "Prepare to retreat," she said quietly. "Cover the rear. We'll buy time." Squad formed a defensive perimeter, trading suppressive fire with calculated precision. Elena's mind raced, weighing the lives lost against the fragile hope still flickering in the distance. As the last of her squad slipped away under cloaking fields, Elena stayed behind, covering their withdrawal with deadly efficiency. A Velrax. Soldier closed in, but a well-placed disruptor blast sent him reeling. Her comm hissed one final message before going silent. "They think we're broken. They don't know we're fire." When she finally withdrew, the industrial zone was a graveyard of smoke and silence. Elena's breath was ragged. The price of vengeance was steep, but the flame of humanity would not be extinguished. Not yet. Beneath the shattered dome of the ancient research facility, shadows danced over walls etched with forgotten symbols, remnants of Earth's lost scientific golden age. Elena crouched beside a cracked console, her fingers tracing faint blueprints of a device that could change everything: the harmonic resonator. Dr. Syra's voice crackled over the comm, steady but urgent. "The resonator can synchronize our nanites with Velrax graviton fields, allowing us to disrupt their fleet's propulsion. If successful, we can ground their dreadnoughts without firing a single shot." Elena's eyes narrowed. "It sounds too good to be true." "Nothing worth. Fighting forever comes easy," Sarah replied. "But this could be the turning point." Outside, distant thuds vibrated through the ground. Velrax patrols closing in. Elena motioned to her squad, their faces grim but resolute. "We have one shot," she said. "Set it up, then hold the line." They moved quickly, assembling the resonator's core amidst the ruins. Nanites swarmed like metallic bees, weaving through the device's circuits, awakening dormant power. As the resonator hummed to life, a low-frequency ripple spread outward, distorting the air itself. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. The weapon was alive. Suddenly, alarms blared across their comms. "Velrax fleet responding," Syra warned. "They're recalibrating their graviton drives." Elena gritted her teeth. "Then we hold this ground at all costs." The sky above erupted as Velrax ships faltered mid-flight, engines sputtering and faltering. One by one, dreadnoughts veered uncontrollably, crashing into the planet's atmosphere in fiery blossoms. Cheers erupted among the human defenders, but Elena's gaze remained steady. "This is a victory," she said quietly, "but the Empire will come back harder." Syra's voice softened. "We've given them a taste of their own fragility." Elena nodded, "and they won't forget it." The resonator's fading hum echoed through the ruins, a testament to humanity's indomitable will, a signal that even in darkness, hope could shatter empires. The corridors of the hidden human base were alive with whispered urgency. Elena's eyes scanned the tactical display, the flickering maps dotted with enemy movements and safe zones. Despite the victories, the toll weighed heavily. Each name on the casualty list a ghost haunting the fragile hope they clung to. A fresh comping interrupted her thoughts. Syra's voice was tight. "We've intercepted Velrax communications. They're consolidating forces at Perseus Forge. Expect a full-scale assault within the standard orbital cycle." Elena's jaw clenched. "They'll throw everything they have at us, which means we need to be ready to outthink them," Syra replied. "Their tech is advanced but predictable. Their chains are forged by tradition. We're chaos incarnate." The squad gathered, tension thick in the air. Elena met each gaze with fierce resolve. This is more than survival. This is the last stand. We either break their will or die trying. Outside, the night sky was pierced by the red glare of approaching warships. The ground trembled beneath distant bombardments. Elena gripped her pulse disruptor. Let them come. As the first waves crashed against their defenses, a strange calm settled over her. Cold, relentless, unyielding. The Empire believed humanity. Broken. But as the fires of battle roared, she knew the truth. Humanity was just beginning to fight back. The battered council chamber hummed with uneasy silence, broken only by the low murmur of distant starship engines. Chancellor Morzath sat rigid, mandibles twitching with a volatile mix of rage and disbelief. Around him, the Velrax elite debated furiously, their voices sharp with panic. "The humans survive where none should," snarled one elder. "Our fleets falter under their invisible assault." Morzath's eyes burned. "They speak of peace now, but it is a poison. They will strike when we are weakest." Irissa, the younger scientist, stepped forward, voice steady despite the tension. "Their technology evolves too rapidly. Our methods are obsolete. We must consider diplomacy or face annihilation." "Diplomacy with savages?" Morzath spat. "No! We crush them or perish." Suddenly, a holographic projection flickered. To life, a message from Elena Voss, the human commander. "We offer peace," her voice echoed, calm and unwavering. "Not from weakness, but from strength. The Empire finds us alive. Let this be the moment we choose a different path." A hush fell. Some faces softened, others twisted in fury. Morzath's mandibles clicked sharply. Peace or war? This is the Empire's crossroad. The chamber's weight shifted. The Empire had found humans alive, but the question remained, would they choose the sword or the olive branch? The future trembled on the edge of a blade. The cold stars hung motionless above the shattered planet's horizon, their distant light casting pale shadows over the ruins where humanity's last stand had been waged. Elena stood at the edge of the battered command post, watching the faint glimmers of the Velrax fleet retreating into the void. The war was far from over, but tonight peace lingered like a fragile breath between the chaos. Behind her, the makeshift encampment buzzed with weary but determined activity. Soldiers patched wounds, technicians repaired damaged systems, and scientists like Saira worked tirelessly to stabilize the nanotech networks that had turned the tide. The air was thick with the scent of burnt metal, sweat, and something less tangible: hope. Elena allowed herself a moment to close her eyes, to remember the long journey to this point. The countless battles fought in shadowed corridors and scorched battlefields, the faces of comrades lost, the weight of command pressing down like gravity itself. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice behind her. "Commander," she turned, to see Karath, the Velrax defector, standing awkwardly at the edge of the light. His mandibles twitched in a way Elena had come to recognize as hesitation, or perhaps respect. "The Council accepted the offer," he said quietly. "Peace talks will begin, but there are many who still hunger for war." Elena nodded slowly. "Peace is never easy. It requires more courage than battle, but it's the only way forward." Karath's eyes flickered with uncertainty. "Why do you offer mercy after so much bloodshed?" Elena's gaze hardened. "Because if we don't, the cycle never ends. We're not just fighting to survive. We're fighting to build a future where mercy isn't weakness." He looked toward the horizon, where the Velrax ships vanished into the starry blackness. "Perhaps your kind is not as primitive as we believed." She smiled faintly. "Primitive, maybe, but we have something the Empire lacks: hope." The camp quieted as a transmission crackled to life, a message from the Velrax High Synod. Chancellor Morzath's visage flickered on the comm. his mandibles. Tense but voice surprisingly measured. "We recognize the strength you have shown," he said, "and the wisdom in your offer. Let this be the first step toward a galaxy where humans and Velrax coexist, not as enemies, but as partners." Elena exchanged glances with Syra and the others. The road ahead was uncertain, fraught with old wounds and new challenges. But for the first time, it was a road worth traveling. As the distant stars pulsed, Elena raised her comm, voice steady and resolute. "To all who hear this, we are alive. We have fought, we have bled, but above all, we endure. The Empire has found humans alive, and now, for the first time, it wants peace. Let this be the dawn of something new." The hum of nanites in the air seemed to swell, a silent symphony of resilience and rebirth. And somewhere deep in the darkness, the fragile light of hope took hold, promising that humanity's story was far from over. The stars watched on, eternal witnesses to the fragile peace forged in the fires of war.